Joining us as well is Michael Watkins, live from Aspire HQ in London. Michael, nice to see you as well. How are you doing? You good?
Uh, Hello, Darren. It's great to meet you. Yes, it's day two of the iconic Aspire 4-day masterclass this
It
week,
is.
the January 2024 edition. So I'm fresh from the studio after a very successful day handling the dreaded teleprompter,
Oh, lovely.
where the
Lovely.
words scroll in front of the camera and you make sense of what's being fed to you. So yeah, great. Coming to you live from Watford, Hertfordshire, in the shadow of the M1 motorway.
The posh part.
That's
It's the
what I
posh part.
that's what I call glamorous.
Yes, indeed. Well, folks, as I said, we'll keep people going as coming in as they come in. I'll keep my eye just on the right-hand side down here. But thanks ever so much for everybody joining us live on this Tuesday. It's always good to kind of give these free online sessions. It's always nice to connect with whoever is looking to get some advice, some guidance, some psychology perhaps in the world of presenting, how to present effectively to camera. And it might be that you've had some previous experience before. It might be that you're brand new and you might want to get into the world of TV, or it might be that you're looking to use your presenter skills for business, or it might be to get on social media, whatever it might be. And we always love doing the open days. We are Aspire, as you may know. We launched Aspire Presenting back in 2000 and it's about 18 years ago, actually. And we work with everyone from presenters from television to social media, the sports personalities to politicians to pretty much anyone who needs to get in front of the camera. And what we specialize in is making you look confident, good in your delivery, naturally engaging to your viewer. And the reason that we're so passionate about it is that we are trainers, including Michael, who I'll introduce you to in just a second. We are real TV presenters, and we've been doing so for many, many years. And we're very passionate about that. And I've done around about 9,000 hours of live TV broadcast across the Sky network over 14, 15, 16 I think I've lost count really, different channels over the time. And we specialize now really in the coaching side, the training side, and making you look great on camera. And so I'm not with Michael in London tonight. I'm actually overseas at the moment, but who would know? There we are. Michael, over to you. You're a veteran in the world of
Uh,
broadcast, you sir.
yeah, I started off as a broadcast journalist in the year 1983. So I've been at it for 41 years this year. Started off as a broadcast journalist for LBC Radio, was essentially while I was still at school. Had a bit of a time as a singer, singing opera. Made it to the heady heights of the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, where I had a couple of solo roles. And then my voice broke. Very inconvenient. And so I decided to go into radio. So I became a radio reporter. Yeah, so in the midst of that sort of long broadcast journalism career, I've been an editor within BBC Television News and BBC Radio News, worked on the Radio Today programme. I've read the news on radios 1, 2, 4, and 5 Live, and British Forces Broadcasting. I was a television news anchor for a decade, including 7 years with Sky News and for 12 months at Russia Today in Moscow. So I've kind of done lots of things, but always throughout my career, I've always wanted to be of help to other broadcasters. And that's really what got me into training 25 years ago now.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job with us in London as well, Michael. It's always great to have you on the courses.
Thanks.
I know that you're deep in the depths of working with our lot this week, which is great. So super stuff.
Yeah,
Very good.
it's great this week. As I said, today we're concentrating on teleprompter technique. That's what we did today. Tomorrow it's interviewing and talkback.
Super. Brilliant stuff. Excellent. So we got a little chat box as well. If you want to ask any questions throughout the session, just drop them down if you want to on the side. I think Michael will pay attention to those and take a little look and see how we get on. But ask any questions, even if you think it's absolutely ridiculous and silly. It's not, all right. So it's always worthwhile just asking those silly questions, whatever you think it might be. Okay, good. So we talk about many different things when we're looking at presenting, and one of the biggest things that always comes back to us, even if you've been presenting for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, is confidence, and confidence in front of the camera, and really understanding and how to sustain that really. But so what we're going to look for today is about how to be confident in front of the camera and how to keep that keep that going, that confidence going, even when you are regularly presenting or you're doing more. And sometimes, because you might get to a point where everything is just ticking over like clockwork, and then one day you go, I'm really nervous today. Why am I so nervous? What's going on? And you might feel a little bit dipped in confidence. So we're going to give you some tricks and tips of what works for us in the industry, and also sort of go back to the very basics of presenting. And this will be great for anyone that, even if you are doing it, it kind of gives you a bit of a refresher on the do's and don'ts of presenting, a bit of psychology behind that. Because if you are well equipped for that, then that will help with the confidence. And it's really, really important that we are in the right mindset of this. And Michael, confidence is a funny thing, isn't it? Because even for us seasoned professionals, it's never a weakness to say I feel a little bit nervous today, or a little bit self-aware, or a little bit unsure. It is normal, isn't it?
Yes, I think that's right. And discomfort goes with the territory. If you're a politician and you have to make speeches, discomfort goes with the territory. If you have to appear as a press spokesman, discomfort goes with the territory. And the same with broadcast, because of course, not all programs, no two programs are the same. So you always have that sense of uncertainty. And what tends to happen, generally speaking, with myself too, is a certain degree of uncertainty is by its very nature unsettling. So you think to yourself, well, how is this going to go? The brain loves certainty, but that's not possible in a live television situation. In
Mm.
fact, you could be fully prepared and everything is buttoned up a long time in advance, and something technical may go wrong and you're left on hanging by a thread. So embracing the sense of uncertainty is, I think, very, very important. But of course, another to be made is that everybody has their own definition of confidence, and they also judge their own confidence levels in different ways. Like people say, I have no confidence. And I say, well, you sound pretty confident about that to me. So they do have a sense of certainty about something. And my basic definition of confidence is a sense of knowing, which comes back to preparing. Okay, I've got my plan for this script. I know what I need to do now. I never give it 100%, but it gives me that background confidence.
Mm. Yeah, it certainly does. But let's go really back to the basics of, really connecting with the camera. Say, for example, that you're presenting a piece for the first time, or you just want to get your head in the right space for it. Because ultimately, don't forget that you as an individual is absolutely fine. We're not looking for presenters in this day and age. We're looking for real people, people that can connect and communicate to a worldwide audience and talk at the lens, but to the lens as if they're talking to just one person. And it's really, really important that we start to tell our minds this, because there's a bit of a sea out there. When I first went live on TV, a little bit nervous. I'm thinking, crikey, how many people are watching? I think I've just been told there's 140,000 people watching me all at the same time. And you think, well, they're all making assumptions of who I am, and actually, how many people should I be addressing? Well, when you talk at an audience, it kind of doesn't work for a lens of a camera. What does work is if you can kind of connect and push through the lens, is if you are talking to a singular person. And when you do that, all of a sudden, it helps us feel a little bit easier, connecting a little bit more. And of course, that formula brings in a bit of confidence with that as well, which is always really important. But remember that you're going to be there for a reason. One, you're there because you have the knowledge, you have the expertise, and also, you're going to probably have a personality to suit that as well. And people are going to buy into you. People buy into people, and they're going to buy into what you've got to say. So all of that, if you do your preparation, as Michael said as well, with whatever you're talking about, know what you're talking about, own what you're talking about. That will give you a little bit of confidence on screen as well. And it's really, really important that we tell our minds, and we do various things to help us be a little bit more confident. And we'll talk about that in a second. But the early days of broadcast, Michael, the early days of presenting, if we're new to it, we are nervous and things like that. It's about instilling a positivity to our mindset, isn't it? So that we are confident.
Yes, and our mindset is flexible because it shifts according to our various perspectives. I mean, today on the masterclass and yesterday, what we never do And what, I know that you've never done is to say to people, you must think this way. What we do is we offer a range of alternatives. Well, would it appeal to you to think of it from this perspective? You put your finger on it just perfectly just now, Darren, when you said you're talking to one person and you think, well, I'm never going to buy that because I know millions or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are watching. But here's the key, and this might shift perspective. Yes, you can have an awareness that lots of people are watching. I mean, as I'm speaking now, I know that more than one person is listening to what I'm saying. But here's the key. Information is being received on an individual level. So actually, it is being received at the level of the individual. And then it becomes up to us as the broadcasters to talk to whoever is watching at the level of the individual. An individual appreciates that. And very often what nerves do is they block us off from those kinds of realities because we think, oh, it can't be that straightforward. There must be this pressure attached. And that's not always necessarily the case.
Mm. Yeah. So have a think about what works for you. I mean, each and every one of you has a message to deliver and a personality to go with it as well. Never think that you've got to be like somebody else. Always know that you are good enough in your message, as long as you've done a bit of preparation and you know what you're talking about. There's some of the key things. But what's going to bring confidence as well is, as Michael said, a bit of preparation, and we'll cover that in just a second. And I'll tell you what I used to do in order to be ultra confident in front of the camera as well. But certain things we can do also to trick our mindset a little bit so that it's not daunted or overwhelmed too much of any nerves or lack of self-confidence and things like that. Some things we can do to trick the brain a little bit when we're in front of the camera. One of those is to remember that your eyes really need to be connected to the lens of the camera. So eyes on the lens of the camera as much as possible. That shows confidence. That also is the eye contact to your viewer. Now, if we're shifting our eyes around and we're looking around a little bit, we might look a little bit unconfident or a bit shifty, and it's all telling the viewer and our own brains that actually we're not that confident or we don't look too confident. So what we've got to do is remember that the lens of the camera is the eyes of the people watching. Make sure that you have your eyes on the lens of the camera. If you're doing a webcast, a webinar, or anything like that, and you're speaking, currently now, the temptation is for me to look at all these boxes down on the bottom of the screen here. But if I'm doing that, I'm not actually looking at you, I'm looking down on the screen. So I've got to look away from that and know that the little green light with the webcam and the top of the top of the computer is actually your eyes. And if I don't do that, it's not performing that connection. Same goes for the lens of the camera as well. Make sure that you've always got the eyes on the lens of the camera. Now, these are obvious things, but they do go out the window under pressure. And even if you are feeling confident, sometimes they can make you look unconfident. So it's really, really important to help instill that for the mindset and for how you're coming across in front of the camera as well. Eyes on the lens of the camera always, or as much as possible anyway. And don't forget to smile. Smiling is really important. We talk about this as the very basics, but when you don't smile, we tend to be so hell-bent on the words, and all of a sudden we lose the muscles in our face. We look a little bit serious, and we have what we call that resting bitch face, and we can't do that. We can't afford to have that. So we've got to get used to putting a smile on the face, because when we relax, look, if I'm relaxing my face now, I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you very much for joining me. I look quite miserable. It's just the way it's my face. I can't help my face, but that's what it looks like. So I've got to make sure that I'm aware that I'm putting a smile on the face to connect and engage with my viewer. That will bring confidence within the presentation, which ultimately, if it looks confident and the viewer thinks that you're confident, then it's going to help with your inner confidence as well. All these little tricks that we play on the brain to get into the right mindset. Eyes on the lens of the camera, put a smile on the face, and that's the two key things there that sometimes can go under pressure as well. As Michael said, preparation. Preparation is key, really. And that will give you the confidence under pressure. Preparation in the words we're talking about, maybe the scripting, maybe you've got to learn a script or bullet points of a script, or maybe you just need to know a little bit about the item that you're talking about. So, for example, on Thursday this week, I'm going to be talking about areas in southern Spain. Now, if I was told that I had to learn a big script of 40 pages, I would probably really struggle because I'm no good at learning words. But the gist, the message, the bullet points are all there of the key points, and that will help me then prepare that so I can own it, and then that will make it a lot easier. So preparation is really important when we come to learning the words and understanding the content that we're talking about. If you believe in it and you like it and you find a bit of passion, then that's going to help give that confidence across. And Michael, it's about owning these pieces to camera, isn't it? To give us a bit of that confidence that we need.
Yes, and yet there's a little voice inside our head that says, well, if I take ownership of what I'm saying and I appear confident, then it'll look like I'm a show-off. It'll look like, oh, I was born to do this, and I'm big-headed and I'm vain, and look at me attracting attention to myself. And of course, these are all constructed thoughts of the mind to essentially keep you small. And so taking ownership is something you can do with humility. Bear in mind, not everybody will like what you're doing. The people who don't like it, there's enough channels, channel choice, they'll switch off or they'll lose interest, go into the kitchen and do the washing up while that Michael Watkins is speaking. But there are other people who will continue to tune in. Now, the thing about that is you can then assume that they're with you. You can assume that if this is important, and it shouldn't be, but if it's a useful stepping stone, you have their implicit approval. They want you to do well. Why do they want you to do well? Because they want to hear what you have to say, communicate it to them in the most effective way. And again, that comes down, as you said, Darren, to preparation and having a sense of knowing, having a game plan. And it's one of those great ironies about confidence. You can be uncomfortable before you go on air and still be really, really confident, which means having your game plan, but, being a little bit uncertain, a little bit trepidatious about how it will actually go during transmission. So these two things are not mutually exclusive, but for me, it came down to preparation, reading the script, knowing it inside out. And I would go on and I would go, well, whatever else happens, I know my stuff and I can talk forever if need be. And I knew that, and nobody could take that away from me.
Yeah, no, that's some very good points, some very valid points there, Michael. And it really is. It's about owning your pieces to camera. That's going to help you be confident. The body language side of it, as we said, is about knowing that you've got to connect with your viewer, that you've only got a handful of seconds to connect with that single viewer. We always say it's a single person watching, even if there's 150,000 people watching, because technically, all right, they might be sat with a family member, a dog, or a cat. In Michael's case, a cat. In my case, 2 dogs and 3 cats. But there we go. And and sometimes the kids and the wife, but usually that's the situation there. And so we got to address the lens of the camera singularly, not as if we're talking at a big audience. This is going to help make you feel more confident, because when we talk to somebody singularly, we're not questioning anything that we're doing. We're just saying, well, I'm just having a conversation with a few strings attached, a few bits of information are coming in there. And that's all I'm absolutely doing. Putting a smile on the face, good eye contact, good body language. It's going to help you connect, and it's going to help them believe in you and have no reason to doubt you. And also, don't forget, there's no reason for anyone to doubt what your capabilities are. You're the person on the screen, on the YouTube video, on the social media thread, whatever it might be. So there's no need to doubt yourself. And if there's anything that I'd say, I mean, what I used to do, this is kind of some of the things I used to do when I was prepping to give myself a little bit of confidence. Naturally, when we went on TV, I say went, I still go on TV, but not as much as I used to. And I tend to present outside on location now. But when in studio, we tend to wear makeup. That's what we do for the makeup nights. And quite for us guys, putting makeup on isn't necessarily something we'd normally do. But actually, remarkably, with a nice shirt or a suit jacket, certainly a nice shirt, bit of makeup on, you look in the mirror and think, oh, actually, I look a lot better than what I did when I walked in here. It's just evened out all the skin tone. And of course, that in itself will start to help you feel a little bit confident about yourself, because you can look in the mirror and go, okay, yeah, that's all right. I can get away with that. What worked for me as well was actually having a spray of aftershave or something nice. I know whenever I'm working with female presenters, they always put perfume on. It's not for the benefit of the viewers because they can't smell it, but it just gives you a sense of occasion. We call it sense of occasion. It's almost like going out, feeling good, feeling the best version of yourself. And that's what it's all about, doing little things like that. Bit of music on as you're getting ready, a bit of some songs, tunes on that make you feel up in your spirits a little bit. It's always nice to have something like that going on. All of these little tricks will help put your mind in a better place. So our nerves, if we are nervous, will be working for us in a positive way than a negative. So we're turning the nerves to our advantage because the brain can't always differentiate fearful nerves or nerves of excitement. So we've got to say, well, actually, I'm happy to be here. Well, that's a good thing then. So let's enjoy this, and it will help with the adrenaline and the nerves make your presentation even more. So if you're feeling a little bit sort of overwhelmed, just try those little things there. Michael.
And Darren, we have a couple of questions in the chat, which I promised I would come to. But I just wanted to ask you a question. I know we've spoken many times in our joint training sessions about this, but it's the whole thing of trying to be perfect, trying to raise the bar too hard, if you like, trying too hard. And I know you've got a very interesting take on this, and we're very much coming at this along the same lines.
Yeah, I think you're right. We always say, you might have to remind me what the reference point, Michael. But yeah, I mean, we always say human beings aren't perfect. So never try and aim to be perfect because when we put all that pressure on ourselves, it does make the job a lot harder. And actually, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for a human being. So try and take that pressure off of yourselves. And for me, I think in the early days of broadcasting, there was always pressure. I've got to do well. I've got to do well. I've got to be perfect. Got to be perfect. And it makes the job really hard. And I remember one day I'm thinking, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm just going to do what I can. And if that's not good enough, I'm just going to go out and be me, not this, hello, good evening, and welcome. I'm presenting the show this evening. I wanted to be more real. And I thought, if that is not good for the channel and they sack me, fine, because I need to be real. And I went out and I just was myself, confident, just happy to be there. Hi, welcome. It's a Tuesday. I'm Darren. We've got a great show coming up. And I thought, I'm not aiming for perfection here. I'm just going to talk as me to the lens. And that was all anyone wanted. I was employed for who I am, not to be a perfect Queen's English broadcasting professional, but by actually being yourself, you are being what they need, what the channels need, Michael. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. They buy into real people. And here's the thing, if you're being real, don't try and be cool, just try and be real. We perceive very often, I can't speak for anyone else except myself, of course, but the idea of, I think I need to be cool, but actually I don't. I just need to be real. Now, one of the prices you pay for being real is that you increase the risk, or you perhaps think that you increase the risk, but somebody might see something that I don't want you to see. In other words, I become vulnerable. But if you reach a point of vulnerability where I can see I'm a bit nervous, that's fine. Next, then you become sort of impregnable because there's nothing that you're trying to cover up, which you're frightened that the audience might see. And even if they don't see it, what they will see is somebody trying to put on an act. And if they see somebody trying to put on an act, they will assume that you're covering up for an insecurity. And therefore, you're giving the game away by trying to cover up the thing that you're trying to cover up. It's far better to go on and just go on warts and all and just be you. And the other thing about confidence is people think, well, if I'm nervous, it's going to show, and how terrible would that be? And our experience of teaching over all these decades is very often people overstate the extent to which their nerves are on display to other people. Oh, well, you said I did well, but I was terrified. And we often say to clients, no, you did tremendously. I mean, we could see you were a little uncertain here and there. So nerves become this great big thing in our mind, which is very often overblown. Often we do far better, even when we're nervous, than we give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, some wise words there. So we got some questions. Thank you very much for bringing those in as well. I think what we might do actually, because we've covered some of the key points of confidence, let's open it up to you guys with any questions that you've got, because it's really nice sometimes to be able to help you individually and support you in any way. And thank you very much to Max and to Tony so far that have written in some of your questions, or some of the questions. Michael, do you want to have a look at these? Oh, just unmute your microphone, Michael. Mike, Mike on the mic.
Thanks so much. Um, I have a question about the space that you can take as a presenter and the space you give to interviewees. Wonder what you mean by space exactly.
Tony,
Do
yeah, do
you
you want to
mean,
share with us? Yeah, share
yeah,
with us what
Tony?
what's on that.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know if you remember. I mean, I did the masterclass. It must have been a couple of years ago now. But so I'm head of the communications team for a big European research agency, and I get to spend some of my time, not as much as I would like, but creating content with top scientists from across Europe. And sometimes it can be quite nerve-wracking because these are like, Nobel Prize winners and like, really top of their game in different fields of science. And so when I do like a podcast interview or produce a video with them, my kind of feeling is, I should get out of the way and give them as much space as possible, because they're the ones that people are going to be interested in hearing from. But I quite liked, Michael, your I think you said take control with humility. I like that, because I kind of realized that, if I'm presenting and if I'm doing the interview, I hopefully I'm adding a bit of context, or at least like kind of, asking the right questions. But I have to admit, I do have that kind of, I don't know if it's a kind of imposter syndrome or whatever, but I sort of think, oh God, I should be seen and heard as little as possible, and leave as much space for the people I'm interviewing. So that was kind of a little bit of the background
Well,
to the
I
question.
do totally understand, and if Darren, I can just add something to what you said, Tony. I totally understand where you're coming from, and I had a thought right on the tip of my tongue. Yes, that's it. The more you exhibit and exemplify a sense of reasonable control with a guest, the more that they will shine, because they want to know that there's somebody hosting the show who's in complete command and control, even if that means they need to be interrupted. I said to an interviewee once, I said, I'm really sorry I had to interrupt so many times, and especially towards the end. And the interviewee said, no, I loved it. I said, what do you mean? What do you mean you loved it? I had to cut you off. I had to steer you in a different direction. She said, I didn't know whether I was going in the right direction or not. And your interruption helped put me back on the right lines, because I didn't know whether I was going off the point or what I was supposed to do. So it was great having you in control. And I went, that's amazing feedback. So I'm sure you would agree, Darren, it's so case specific. Maybe you have a guest who's being very strident and confrontational and needs to be put in their place. Maybe you need somebody who is looking to you. Maybe you have a guest who is looking to you to exert that sense of control, because that then gives them confidence. So it's such a hard question to answer. But at the end of the day, if somebody is saying something that is immeasurably moving and they're developing a point, then it goes without saying your judgment would tell you, your best intuition would tell you not to interrupt them and just let them speak. The key, I think, with all of these things is to have an agenda. Is this helping me with my agenda for what I want to get out of this interview versus the amount of time we have to go off the point? And again, that's a judgment call. I hope that helps. Ah, Darren, you're muted. Darren, you're still muted.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
Darren, there you go.
muted. Yes, I was muted there. That's very bizarre.
Ah,
Okay, good stuff.
there's
Matt,
a couple more questions. Yeah.
yeah, Max says, is there anything, is there a thing as too much confidence? Well, this is an interesting one because, you know, we want you to be ultra confident. Sometimes there's a fine line between being ultra confident and a bit cocky, cocky and arrogant. But I think that boils down to really how you feel about yourself. If you can be confident within who you are as an individual, have that belief in yourself and your abilities, and like yourself, then you'll exude what we call charisma. And charisma really is somebody who feels grounded confidently and comfortable within who they are. And it's a very warm, lovely thing to have as a presenter because the camera picks up on it and the viewers tend to as well. It's this nice warmth that you can radiate. And when you smile, it's genuine. When you talk, there's a warmth in there as well. And you just radiate a likability factor. However, there are some people who put an act on um, and they kind of a little bit cocky, a bit arrogant, and they can't. It's quite often because they aren't feeling grounded within who they are as individuals. So they end up not being particularly nice and putting on a bit of an act, and it comes across as a bit cocky and a bit overconfident. And we tend to find that that's not an appealing trait to have. There are successful presenters in the world who probably, you know, are well known for that, but we always teach from the heart, from within. So yes, I think there is a risk sometimes that you can be overconfident and a little bit cocky, and when that happens, people do tend to switch off. So the best way is to try and go deep within yourself and find out who you are and be comfortable and confident within who you are, and that will come across then hopefully at the right level where we're not overdoing it, if that makes any sense, Max, to you. What's made you ask the question, Max? Any particular reason? It's quite fascinating. If you want to unmute your mic, that'll be great.
No, I know that I give off a lot of energy and a lot of confidence, and sometimes that annoys people sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, being a bit childlike at times in, you know, the excitement and enthusiasm. And I was wondering if that when put onto a screen and put onto the camera, if that's going to make people turn off, if that's going to you know, give that sense of annoyance sometime as well.
Well, no, I think, yeah, don't forget. Oh, hang on a minute. If there was a bit of feedback there. Don't forget, Max, that you know, it's I think you've got a great abundance of energy actually. So never worry too much about that at all. You've got a really nice air about you, which is great. And there'll be some TV shows or TV pieces to camera that need that energy. Now, don't get me wrong, there'll be some that it just wouldn't suit, and you probably wouldn't end up doing those anyway. But if you can try and match the style of presenting to your lovely energy, it could be a younger audience, or it could be entertainment, or it could be something which is quite sort of funky and a bit quirky with it, because you've got a great look, love the hair, love the energy, and and how you look, which is great. There's a uniqueness there. Yeah, there you go. See, and if we start suppressing that, that will be a shame, and it won't be true to who you are. Now, not everyone's going to like you, and Michael will back me up on this. I mean, even if you feel that, you know, you're the best person in the entire universe, not everyone's still going to like you. I mean, you know, 99.99 recurring will probably like you, but there'll be a 0.001 that won't like you for some reason whatsoever. So you're not always going to be liked. You're not going to be everyone's kettle of fish. But if you come from a genuine place and it ties in with your personality, your style, your topics of presenting, then, you know, we need to celebrate that, because having somebody on screen like you will cheer us up in this crazy dull world out there. So you know, never suppress that, but be clever with how you market yourself and where you go with that presenting style. And I think you can make it work for yourself, definitely. Michael, would you agree on that?
Yes, I would wholeheartedly, Darren. And I should say, Max, that it's actually a very brave and courageous question to ask. And I would approach this two ways, just very briefly. And of course, they've both gone out of my mind. I'm having one of those senior moments where I have to fish, a joke out of the emergency joke bag.
No, don't do that, because your jokes are terrible.
No. Oh, that's what it is. It's like, well, overconfidence. Oh, that's what it is. the bigger the personality, that's what it is. There are 3 points. Your solemn duty as a human being while you have breath in your lungs is to show your light to the world because the world needs it. And that's my solemn duty as well. So that leads on to the second point. The bigger the personality you have, the more you will please some and irritate others. The bigger the person you are, the more of a polarizing effect you will have. And there will be a dwindling number of people in the middle who go, oh, Max, take him or leave him. You'll polarize opinion into, I can't get enough of Max versus really, Max is too much. I no longer want him in my life. God forbid that would ever happen, because that would be a huge misjudgment on anybody's part. And then we come to this thing about overconfidence. Overconfidence, according to whose standard definition, I asked? It's a question worth posing. What is overconfidence? Now, of course, excessive confidence, which is akin to irresponsibility or having a situation totally out of proportion to reality, or a sense of delusion that you think you can handle something which your experience, your past experience and your qualifications suggest you can't handle. Well, then you're overconfident. But then I'm sure you're a person of good judgment. You would know that, which leads on to the fourth point. Your intuition will tell you what your definition of overconfidence is. Only listen to that. Don't listen to anybody else's.
Yeah, some lovely wise words there, Michael. Thank you very much for that. That's great. And Max, what are you hoping to achieve with your presenting, or why are you here tonight? I mean, what's brought you along?
Well, I've always wanted to be a presenter. I've done a little bit of presenting for kids entertainment, but at the moment I'm just doing acting. I'm doing sort of TIE work. But I've always wanted to do TV presenting and do more of it. And whether that's for kids, as you say, with younger audiences, or something groovy as well, which I'm wondering what you mean by that. But I suppose anything.
Okay.
But yeah, just to sort of get a few tips and tricks, just to solidify everything. So I've not really done any training. I've just sort of gone into it really in the past. So just sort of getting a few tips and tricks, and again asking the question of is there going to be such thing as being too much, too over the top and whatever. And yeah, I'd love to just go into it a bit more.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. Oh, if you mute that just so it doesn't feedback, that's great, Max. Thank you. Yeah, but you've got an abundance of energy. There's always going to be a place for you. And in fact, with any type of presenting, there are always opportunities for different styles, different needs, different people delivering different messages to a worldwide audience. And that's the wonderful thing about presenting. And we get to see, I mean, we train thousands of people all over the many years that we've been running Aspire, and you get to meet all walks of life, really. It's quite wonderful, really, and help steer them in their pathway. And if you were to ever come and work with us, Max, we'd kind of go, right, well, let's get you presenting things that we can use that personality even more with. And it might be a quirky cooking show, to entertainment, to kids TV, to a bit of travel, but using your personality. And I think that's a real unique thing, nice thing to have. So never lose that, never tone it down. Just always, just be a ray of sunshine. It's a very nice thing, very nice. So keep up that lovely positive energy. All right, good. Any other questions?
Noah, you have your hand up.
Yes, I'm sorry. I've been having trouble writing in the chat. My keyboard, for some reason, is not working. Nice to meet you, Darren and Michael. Thank you so much for all the tips.
Pleasure.
Hi. I'm joining away from Jordan, by the way. And I have a question regarding scripts. So my problem is that when I write down my scripts, I tend to find it difficult to navigate away from it sometimes, and I feel like I'm too confined to my script. And that sort of also affects my confidence on camera, because then I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to say this or that. And then I sort of panic. And I was wondering if you guys have any tips for that.
Yeah, well,
Thank
I've
you.
got some. I'm sure, Mike. Yeah, absolutely lovely question, and thank you very much indeed. That's super, and thank you for joining us from Jordan. That's brilliant. Michael has got some. I'm sure got some advice as well. Something really from me here is sometimes when we can make the job really difficult when it doesn't need to be. We're there to deliver information, and sometimes when you script the words, it will take away personality, and you just go into almost like a formulaic. I'm delivering the words. Now, don't forget in effective communication to camera, the words only form the 7% of your presentation. 93% is how we're delivering these words in the tones, the body language, the smile, the intonation of the voice, and all of that. Now, of course, so when we start thinking, well, actually, that's only 7% of the words. Well, as long as the message is there, and how the best way to do this would be to probably write, how I'd do it is I'd script it as how I'd like it to be kind of said in a way. And then I'd push it to a side, that then I'd simply bullet point the keywords within the content. And then I would just focus on the bullet points, linking up the bullet points with your personality, because then it gives you more ownership and more freedom, and it sounds more natural. And we can then get on with actually enjoying it, because when it's too scripted sometimes, now don't get me wrong, some people can deliver a very um, realistic sounding script. I can't. I'm not an actor. I can present. So if somebody says talk about that, here's the bullet points, no problem at all. So if you can try and get to that way of doing it, you'll enjoy it even more. And if you enjoy it, the viewer will enjoy it, and it will add just a bit more personal personality to it. Michael, you're working this week with the team with scripting, and certainly when we're on location on the masterclass on Thursday, what often, very quickly, what advice do you give our guys when it comes to scripting?
Yes, very much so. I mean, the first thing I think I would say is add a caveat that it's very much case specific. If you have a situation where you have to stick to a particular pre-approved script, then that's what you have to do. But of course, that's good because it's all there. You just have to read the script, of course, with meaning and with the right emphasis and all the rest of it. But in other situations, the thing that we've been trying to emphasize this week is that the words are just the wrapping. They're really the mechanism by which the message is communicated. The fundamental ultimate thing is the message. And as you said quite rightly, Darren, people don't buy into the words. What they buy into is your belief in what you're saying. Well, and that's what gives you authority. You believe in the core message. Now, if you know the core message, but you're not quite convinced about exactly how you'll put it across when those thoughts come to you, that's actually a good place, that feeling of uncertainty. Because otherwise in life, you'd be rehearsing everything you say to everybody. I went to Australia, I met my friends in the pub, and I was thinking over the key things that I'd like to talk to them about, the highlights. And I thought, oh, I must remember to mention this and this and this and this. And I filed them away. And I knew they were there. But there was no further preparation beyond that. They sat and listened. They said, tell us about your holiday in Australia. And I came out with this 2 or 3 minute, great, nice, concise summary. And I thought, well, good heavens, there's a lot of information in that. What if we can assist people to do that on camera? The very thing that they do in real life. But when you put them on camera, they forget, all in the name of trying to be as fluent as possible. The more you try and be fluent, the less fluent you'll be, because your mind will be focused on trying to be fluent. In other words, trying to be perfect, rather than what I'm actually focused on saying. Now, that scares a lot of people because they think, well, I've got to focus on the fluency because that's the only way I'll get the fluency. But the opposite is the case. You've got to let the fluency take care of itself and just reach for the inner thoughts, and you'll find the fluency, as is happening to me right now.
Yeah, totally. Good. That's great, Michael. Thank you. I hope that helps as well. I hope that just to kind of does it help? Are you going to try and give that a go? Give it a go next time. See, and it's just practice. You know, the more you do it and think, okay, I'm not going to rely on a heavily scripted script, so to speak. I'm just going to get the bullet points going, and I'm going to just try and own it and practice. But then have that feeling and really take ownership of those words. And the more you do it, it'll get easier, I promise. We got another question there, Michael, our adjudicator. Have we got another one down there? Yeah, we have actually. It's Max.
Hello. Yes, we did. Max, you very kindly say, how did you guys originally get yourselves out there? I suppose the confidence I lack is talking to contact. Interesting. What exactly what do you mean by contacts, Max, precisely?
Well, I just remember I was working with someone from the BFI, and I remember sort of getting in contact, working with them for a bit, and then my sort of contract with them ended, and I couldn't bring myself to get in contact with them again, and say, is there anything else out there? Is there anything, any things coming up that you think you need a personality like me to do or whatever, because it just feels like you're just bugging them in some ways, and also just wondering about how you two got into the industry as well. I always love sort of finding that stuff out.
Well, if I can take the first part of this, and I'm sure you're experiencing the same, Darren. If you're on television, you need to be regarded as a safe pair of hands. I can throw anything at my presenter and they'll be able to cope with technical breakdowns, this, that, and the other. If you're a safe pair of hands, then you're confident in your ability to communicate under pressure. If you're confident and your ability to stand up to situations which are challenging, the production team, if they're going wrong, an interviewer or a guest or a fellow presenter, if they're going wrong. So they're looking for people who are able to assert themselves in a very stressful situation. Ergo, they won't give you a job unless you're willing to phone them up and challenge them and not be put off by them.
It's part of the test, Michael, isn't it? It's part of that test.
Yes, and the first key job I got in television was eventually standing up to somebody who kept putting the phone down saying, no shifts, no shifts, no shifts. Now, I knew damn well that there were shifts and there were freelance shifts, and I was eminently qualified to move from the job I was doing into the job with them that I wanted. And eventually I phoned up and I said, forgive me, but why do you keep saying there are no shifts? I know that there are shifts. I know this, 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 and this. And how about it? I'm equipped in this way and this way and this way. And I'm going to stand by that even if you say no and put the phone down yet again. She said, I'll call you back in 15 minutes. And I got my first lot of shifts. So sometimes some of these bosses want you to be able to show your mettle to them in real time. And it was often said of people like Margaret Thatcher and other leaders, the ones who get promoted are the ones who are prepared to be confident with the boss and say, look, I think we're going wrong here. And can I tell you why? I know you've made the decision, but A, B, C, and D. And it's the same with picking up the phone and speaking to these people. They know it takes guts, but they're waiting for you to demonstrate those guts. And so it's an energetic thing. It's again, it's not what you say, but the fact that you're willing to say it.
And it's perseverance as well. You've got to get out there and you've got to keep going. A lot of people give up over the first sort of hurdle, and in fact, we know channel bosses that will deliberately wait for somebody to contact them 2 or 3 times at least before they actually respond, because they don't want you to have the job easy, and they want you to fight for it. So there's a kind of a strange one there. So never feel that you're hassling anybody. Get over that. Push through it if you possibly can, and just stay resilient on it. And again, it's all part of it. I mean, in terms of how I got myself out there, I was pretty lucky, to be honest with you. I got a show reel. I got it in front of the right people at the right time, and got picked up for the work. You need a show reel in the industry. If you come on ever work with us on a course, you'll get all of that, and we'll give you the help and advice and the guidance there. But yeah, I had that belief that I was going to make it as a TV presenter. You call it manifestation or visualization. And I had a bit of background entertainment presenting behind me as well. So obviously when I then got myself a show reel together, I had a natural flair for it, and I believed that I was going to do it. And actually, remarkably, that's kind of how it kind of happened, Max. There's a longer story to that, which I'll hopefully share with you when there's more time. But you've got the key thing is you've got to get yourself out there. You've got to network. You've got to find where these job opportunities are. You've got to get a show reel. You've got to let people know that you can present and how well you can present as well. You can't just apply for jobs these days. They want to see what you look like on video. So I hope that helps a little bit. Michael, have you got 20 seconds? Because we're running out of time, sadly, as always.
Yes, I remember applying to a particular place. Eventually, I was successful. And I said to the editor, before you ring off, can I say something? And he said, yes. I said, I'm going to say it straight out. He said, yes. I said, I think you're wrong not to give me a chance. Wrong from every conceivable perspective. And I'd like to tell you respectfully why that's the case, because I've thought about this a lot. He said, go on. And he gave me the space to explain. And he said, look, what are you doing next Friday? I said, I'm free after lunch. He said, come and see me, 2:45 p.m. And he said, I've got to go, but look forward to meeting you. And I said, why did you change your mind? And he said, it's what you said on the phone. I said, yeah, but I felt I was being rude. I mean, who am I to tell the boss what for? He said, no. We need people like that on the front end who are going to say, we're doing this wrong, we're going to be in trouble, even if it's the boss making the wrong decision. So again, demonstration of confidence.
It is, and actually at the same time as well is actually putting it in at the right time as well, because sometimes that's where overconfidence can cost you work as well if you're causing too many problems behind the scenes. Right, who have we got another message, have we, or is it just a couple of there? Okay, okay, that's great.
No, no questions. Sorry, no, I was just
saying nicely done, nice one. Thanks, Max, that's bro. Folks, I mean, it's always lovely to see all of you, and thank you so much for coming along on a Tuesday. We do offer these free online sessions, usually about once or twice a month. We've got a free open day in London if anyone ever wants to pop down for a coffee and a chat and see what we do. But predominantly we're a training company, and if anyone ever wants to get out there and get the best training, understanding how to present in studio with green screen and teleprompting and interview technique and getting a show reel, getting career guidance and all of these things. We run a masterclass in London, and that's done every month, and we have been doing so for the last nearly 20 years at 3 Mills Film Studios. And if you are thinking about getting some training, professional direction or whatever, then do reach out on email. We'll always be very happy to let you know what we've got available, and we can always do some discounts and things like that, some special prices. But if it is something you want to do, give it a go, and we're very much there for you to support you. But if anyone's got any further questions, please drop me a direct email after this if we haven't had time to answer those. But we're always here. Reach out, get some advice, and we do wish you all the very best. Michael, any kind of closing words there from yourself?
Yes, just one thought. I mean, just to say thank you so much, everybody who was able to join us. It's greatly appreciated. We love doing what we do, and we love being able to give back. And it's just awesome that you were here tonight. And as I said, do get back in touch. Here's a parting tip: if you're willing to do something and feel uncomfortable while you're doing it, you are unstoppable. The question is, how much discomfort are you able to put up with, and how much discomfort you are able to embrace? Now, over time, you get used to more and more discomfort. But here's the ironic thing about embracing discomfort: the discomfort decreases. It does not increase. It might increase initially, but you toughen yourself to become better at dealing with discomfort. So I would say at the outset of 2024, go with it. Go with it despite the discomfort, and you'll find that you will develop a totally different relationship with that discomfort, and doors will begin to open.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And once you get working, it really is lovely. So, give it a go. And and we'll see you on screen. But thanks ever so much, guys, for tuning in tonight. Please keep in touch. Drop us an email if you need any support with training, coaching, showreel advice, career advice, presenting advice. Please just reach out and ask those questions, and we'd be delighted to answer any of those. Michael, I'm not with you this week in London, of course, for the masterclass, but many thanks to you for this evening. I know you've had a busy, long day, and thank you for your continued passion and dedication to helping everybody. It's been great to have you along today as well.
Thank you so much, Darren, and thank you for providing this platform with the #1 presenter training company in the UK. And no, I'm not paid to say that. I really do mean it. I think that you set the standard for all of us, and in turn, we just want to give. And you set the standard, and the rest of us follow in your wake. And I really do believe that sincerely.
Well, let's see how Michael and Sean are getting on in London. If anyone wants to keep, follow us on Instagram, it's Aspire Presenting. So check us out, and you'll be able to see Michael and Sean in action this week also. But thanks ever so much, everybody. Thank you for your lovely comments and kind words in the chat box as well. Really much appreciated. Have a lovely evening, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you or hearing from you, or maybe welcoming you to a course soon. All right, or come back and see us on the free open day as well. So thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Take care.
Thank you
Thanks
so
all.
much.
Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.